Shall we start, sir?
Yeah, please.
VC has left. He'll join. Yeah. Let Vice Chancellor join, sir. Yeah. I think he has left. Sanchia, just wait. Let Vice Chancellor join. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
We'll start, sir.
Yeah,
VC,
please.
sir. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sir. Yeah. So Sanchia, please begin. Yeah.
Sir, shall I start?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Sanshia. I'm a HR trainee from Bharathasan University in Department of Social Work. I'm going to be an MC for this program. You can't look at the competition and you are going to do it better. You have to look at the competition and say you are going to do it differently. Likewise, I appreciate each and every one of you that you are taking off your time to join our session 1 webinar on the topic of future of HR management in a post-COVID world. Like Bharathasan said, அறிவே ஆற்றலிலும் சிறந்தது மனம் அதற்கு அடங்கி நடந்தால் வாழ்வு சிறந்து விளங்கும். Also, we lined up fruitful and engaging sessions for you for these 2 days. Let's get some better time to learn something better. Now it's time for a silent prayer. I request each and every one of you to close your eyes for a minute. Thank you, everyone. Now we are pleased to invite our professor, head of the department, Dr. R Mangalesharan, to deliver a social welcome address for us.
Revered Vice Chancellor of our university, distinguished resource person, Dr. Cartigan, founder and managing director of Jamba Management Consultant Services, dear colleagues, guest faculty members, research scholars, students, and my dear participants from India and abroad, a warm good morning to one and all. It really gives me an immense pleasure in welcoming our most respectful Vice Chancellor of Bharathasan University and erudite professor of international business and commerce from Alagappa University, Karaikudi. And presently, he is a syndicate member of the same university. He also holds the position of accreditation ambassador under the UGC Pyramid scheme. He has produced more than a dozen of research scholars and published several articles and books from a reputed Indian and international publisher. He is not a new to this university before becoming the Vice Chancellor. His advices and mentoring has fetched a NAC accreditation of 3.32. Indeed, I am very much delighted in welcoming our Honorable Vice Chancellor to this virtual platform. I would also like to mention that after assuming charge as a Vice Chancellor, this is the first program of our department he is presiding over. On this occasion, on behalf of my colleagues and students and participants, I warmly welcome you, sir. I am equally delighted in welcoming our first resource person, Dr. R Cartigan, founder and managing director of Jamba Management Consultant Private Limited. He did his clinical psychologist at NIMHANS, Bangalore, PhD in psychology from Madras University. He is the first HR manager of Hyundai Motors in 1996. He worked in more than 16 companies and consultant for various companies across the nation and globe. One of the coveted posts he has had is the president of IFTDO, to be more specific, Indian Society for Training and Development. It is very difficult to get such an eminent resource person. I would really thank Dr. Gangadharan sir of Heritage Foundation, Hyderabad, for introducing me to Dr. Karthikeyan. On behalf of our university and on behalf of the Department of Social Work, I wholeheartedly welcome to this virtual platform, sir. I welcome my colleagues in the Department of Social Work, the senior faculty, Dr. P. Ilongo, the former syndicate member, former dean and chair, my senior colleague, Dr. Jerida Nanajo Eljo, the associate professor and assistant professor, Dr. D. Nirmala, Dr. N. Rajavel. I also take this opportunity in welcoming our guest faculties, Dr. Suresh Kumar, Dr. Karthikeyan, Dr. R. Selvamani, and the other research scholars. And I also welcome the both first MSW and second MSW students who have been very tirelessly working for this particular program. So I would say that this is the Silver Jubilee, starting of the Silver Jubilee celebration of our department. So our department started here in the year 1996. And now we are having a 25th year of our celebration. Of course, in the last semester, we had around, after this COVID, this 19 lockdown was declared in the last March, and we have been tremendously with the support of the former Vice Chancellor and the present Vice Chancellor, we have been doing lots of programs over the online. And for the last semester, we did 35 program, and I wish to inform the august audience, including our Honorable Vice Chancellor, that this is the 94th program of our department. So when it comes to this particular program, there was an overwhelming response, and almost we had 1,000 registration. I would say that there is a representation from 4 countries, Zambia, Philippines, South Africa, and almost we had a representation from 23 states. So I welcome all the participants who are in this Google Meet, and as well as watching through this YouTube channel of our YouTube channel. I wholeheartedly welcome all the participants, and the participants are from mixed group. It includes the students, HR practitioners, faculty members, and the research scholars. On behalf of the Department of Social Work and on behalf of the Bharatdasan University, I wholeheartedly welcome you all to this virtual program and grace the occasion. And I hope that this 2 days program will certainly enable you to achieve the academic accolades. So with these few words, once again, welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, a resource person, and all the participants and colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your welcoming warm address. I looked around the webinar, and I'm in awe with the collected expertise gathered here. In this moment, I'm deeply honored to welcome our Vice Chancellor of Bharatdasan University, Dr. M. Selvam, to inaugurate this workshop, as well as would like to deliver the presidential address.
Happy morning, everyone.
Happy morning.
Hope you are all fine.
Yes, sir. Happy, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
This is a great day. as you have rightly said, your department is observing its Silver Jubilee times. So this is a great march, a march with a lot of remarkable achievements. At the outset, I put on record, place on record, my appreciation to you, your colleagues, present and erstwhile, for their sterling contribution to make the department a shining one in this campus. I am happy that your 94th event, a workshop on human resources practices in the digital era, is well chosen topic, and it has all the relevance today. Before I proceed further, I am happy that you have entwined great legends to be the resourceful resource persons for this program. I have seen on the screen Dr. R Cartigan, founder and managing director of Jemba Management and Consulting, Chennai. I hope this is part of the Jemba world, global concern. There is one.
No, it is not so.
Oh, fine, nice. Sri Joseph Roch, the Deputy General Manager, Human Resources, YNGC Limited. Dr. Amit Bhatkas, Senior Director, HR, Fire Eve, Bengaluru. Dr. Ramakrishna Mohan, Director, Krishna Management Advisory Services, Chennai. And many more who would be joining during the discussion, perhaps. So you have chosen right resources, human resources, to resource this program. That's very good of you. Professor Mangalesharan, a good friend of mine, about 3 years of connectivity we have, and we have good relations, and he is steering the department nicely. And all the faculty members, research scholars, guest faculty, especially Mr. R Balaji, Mr. M. Fuhad Jodi, Ms. R Shanshia, perhaps the comparer of this program, who has done a good job right now.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Shalini, and all others. Once again, a good morning to one and all. And your department is one of the UGC Special Assistance Program participating department with Department of Research Support Phase 1. In this Phase 1, I think I remember that you have achieved good things, and this has gone into record as well. Coming to this topic, that is human resources in the digital era. And also you have added another term there, post-COVID. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
So, I am sure that your wording post-COVID
COVID.
should really become true. The whole world will be happy about that. If it rightly becomes like that, we hope and pray that really it becomes post-COVID. So I think you have chosen a right word. Maybe you have some providential kind of thing that you have opted for such words to name it. That's fine. And we are all fortunate to have born in this digital era. Are we? Or aren't we? I hope we are all fortunate, certainly, because this era has certain special features. Of course, every era has its own speciality. So the people who lived in those era have remarkably achieved several things. And that's why we have great query past the world level as well as in the Indian subcontinent. What is worthy of an era? It must have era, E-R-A. What is that? It must have epoch resonating accomplishments. I have acronymized the term ERA, epoch making or epoch resonating accomplishments. This info era, this digital era has several hallmarks. Therefore, we can call it definitely an era. Though every era has its greatness, it has some speciality. We all know that an era is not a period counted by Earth's rotation on its axis in terms of days, or by its revolutions around the sun in terms of years. An era is characterized by worthy thoughts, themed values, valor-filled deeds that transcend chronological scales, past, present, and future. This digital word qualifies to get itself called as an era by itself. The digital era is unbounded by its characteristic features. This digital era exhibits dynamism with datamatics, instantaneous with intelligence, global connect with growth gnostics, infinity interlaced with infotainment, transcendental with tenaciousness, augmented with adaptability, learned with leadership. This digital era is characterized by all these features. A couple of things I might elaborate a bit. This dynamic era, this digital era is dynamic. The word dynamic has 50 plus synonyms. A couple of those synonyms I just give here so that we can really understand the dynamism about this digital era. It is activating, it is aggressive, it is changing, fast changing, too many changes at too less a time at too great a speed. That's what Alvin Toffler used to say. So that kind of change, the future in his book, Future Shock. It is charismatic, it is compelling, it is driving, it is effective, electric, enterprising. The digital world has seen many entrepreneurs, great entrepreneurs. Some 20, 25 years ago, the BSE Sensex or NSE 50 Nifty would have companies which are not found today in that list. The whole list is now occupied by digital consents, be it Wipro or TCS or Cognizant and so on. So many enterprising people, not only in those top order, but also in the middle order and also at smaller levels. So that is an enterprising feature of this digital era. It is energetic, it is forceful, it is influential, it is lively too, it is lovely too, it is magnetic. It has all the potentials, great potentials unlimited, powerful, productive, progressive, quick, rapid, vigorous, vitalizing, and zippy. So such kind of features this digital era is having. We are really fortunate to have born in this era, and we have derived many advantages as well. I started that dynamism with datamatics. What is this datamatics? When the data is dramatized, it becomes datamatics. When the data is automated, it becomes datamatic. When the data is added with informatics, it becomes datamatics. When the data is added to melodramatism, it becomes melodramatic. When it is added to nonomatics, it becomes again datamatics. It is also pragmatic, it is also systematic. Thus, the word, the present era, is a word of dynamic with datamaticism. So therefore, this is a finer world. We have to achieve a lot many things in this world. This digital era provides possibilities, intelligent possibilities, with digital solutions for all. By all I mean businesses, institutions, individuals, to effect an enlarging, an enriching, an enhancing, an enlightening outcome, output, process, and put-ins. I have just put the inputs as put-ins because I have some rhythm here. Process and put-ins. That way I changed it. This is, of course, the whole lot of supply chain. When I use the word supply chain, we may be tempted to take it in a narrow perspective, but I consider it in a bigger perspective, because supply chain is not just about physical materials, but everything material, including physical, physiological, philosophic, psychic, and so on. And it provides all these things in terms of facts, figures, features, formula, and all. In the digital world, the whole world competes with time, as quality is almost taken for granted, is almost fully packed. Of course, we can add on further features either bodily, that is physically, or in performance nuances. Of course, we can also add niche adaptability and nuanced demeanors, so that the whole experience, the digital experience of us, remain a great kind of thing that we may take pride ourselves by calling the era as digital era, because to add any time period as era, it must have very many distinctive features. I have already listed those distinctive features. As with these distinctive features, this particular digital times we have can be qualified as an era. And in this era, what the human resources have to do, we have many sources, but only one resource, that is human resource. Everything else is a source. Capital is a source, but human power is a resource. They can keep on augmenting this resource to an infinite level possibilities. Yes, human potentials are infinite. The lives of great scientists, great sages, great business leaders, legendary leaders, all say that the achievements of people of different era are very great, and that's why we are very happy to use the word era quite frequently. And coming to this digital era, as I already told, it transcends everything. It is not limited to the earth that we have. Beyond earth, it spreads all over the universe. That's a kind of greatness of this era. So, yes, the human resources have to contribute enormously in this particular era. The human resources have to be turned into outcome generating resources. It's not output, it is outcome. You know that the whole world is interested in producing graduates who are capable of giving the expected outcomes. Output and outcome are two different things. Output is perhaps what is manufactured out, what is produced. Maybe the graduates, maybe the products, maybe the services. What about the outcome? What is coming out from the graduates? What is coming out from the products or from the services in terms of experiences, happiness, and so on? So our graduates must be outcome generating graduates. In other words, they must be contributing, because the whole world is expecting many things from these graduates. Therefore, what is expected of them should come out from them, then they become outcome. In other words, one writer put, people may have degrees in engineering, but the industry is expecting what's the degree of engineering he or she is having. Therefore, when the expected degree of engineering or any subject matter for that matter is anyone having, he or she becomes outcome-centric personality. So the human resources is really an outcome-centric resource. This outcome-centric resource has all the adaptability, scalability, and all that. It transcends all the barriers. It transcends beyond the globe or the earth. It transcends into the stars and the whole of universe for that matter. So this program, this 2-day workshop, when I come across the word workshop, I used to expect some kind of hands-on kind of thing. So we have to think of such component as well. If not in this program, the next program, or in some other events, we can think of like that. So this workshop, I am sure, will definitely give you lot many things, and there will be many take homes for everyone, takeaways for everyone, and that way it is going to be a thought-provoking, mind-boggling one, and I wish the organizers all the happy times, all great achievements, and era-specific achievements. So wish the function all greatness, all success. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable and knowledgeable speech for us. Definitely, we will take into our future. And the flags are flying, the balloons are ready to release for a great day. One we have been planning and waiting to listen a resource person speech, right? Okay, let me introduce our resource person first. Currently, Dr. R Cartigan is a founder and managing director of Gemba Management Counseling Consulting Private Limited, also leading the International Federation of Training and Development Organization, where he has the mandate to run a world conference. He has been the past president of ISTD for the previous 3 years, also holds membership to NHRD, SHRM, and ATD. Started his career with the Murugappa Group as head of their training center. He went on to become the first HR manager of Hyundai Motor Limited India Limited in 1996. He was trained over 50,000 executives across corporates, educational institute, and service organization in the last 30 years. He is an advanced practitioner of thinking skills theory of constraints, certified by Goldratt Institute. He also certified partner with Harrison Talent Assessment HATS, which we call HATS, and was personally trained by Jack Phillips on ROI methodology, ROI Institute USA. I'm happy to welcome our resource person to deliver his few pearl of wisdom for us.
Thank you. Respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Mangalesharan, the team which worked behind this and made all this possible, my student friends, and I could see a lot of HR professionals there. So first let me congratulate the department and the leadership, both the department leadership as well as the university leadership, for being very active, engaging and interactive during a pandemic like this, and taking this as an opportunity for online learning and continuous online learning. What I would do is, I would like to get on to business and see if I can add value to the students here, faculty members, working professionals, and as our VC said, if they can have some takeaways from this, I'll be very happy for this engagement. In fact, in a very unguarded moment, I accepted this invitation on a short notice, and I'm happy, I'm not regretting. But what I'm saying is, COVID is shaping all of us in every sense. Like generally, I have a problem with time management, and people say that you have to stick on to your time. And today I'll be extremely cautious on time management because I have a vaccination second dose to be done by 1 p.m. So, which means I have a purposeful 60 minutes in which about 30-40 minutes of sharing of my thoughts. And I would like to hear and also answer to as many questions from the young minds over there, and see if we can make it a very interactive one in the second half. Okay. So having said that, very happy and thanks for the introductions. I'm glad she actually made it brief. Sometimes it's kind of embarrassingly long, and which we give for some other purpose. And then I'm glad, because I always say introductions are like, titles of a film. You can go a little later and you're not missed much. Okay, you say still the titles are going on and you can actually catch up. But in my count here, I think two things are very important, which I think would make a lot of sense. One, being a clinical psychologist turned into a management consultant, I have a kind of specific offerings to the topic, number one. Second, being a part of International Federation of Training and Development Organizations, in which ISTD is a member. And when I was the president of ISTD, I also became the board member and also the president of IFTDO. And now I'm a member taking care of the strategy of IFTDO. So last about 20-24 months has given me tremendous opportunity to meet people across the world. So I would share some of the perceptions. And as very rightly said by our VC, the word post-COVID itself is a very hopeful connotation. Okay, but I stick on to that very strongly because human beings live and thrive on hope and optimism. And I always see that as one of my very strong signature strengths of every part of my life. So I strongly feel that the post-COVID is a reality. We don't know when and how, but I'm sure it's going to be a reality maybe the changed reality, how we are going to adopt across is going to be the theme which I would be interested to speak on. Now, I would largely look on, I would say, in terms of my experience in consulting and few updations what I keep doing in terms of research and my reading. Okay, because I think if you have chanced into the Forbes magazine, I mean the recent issue talks on a similar lines. Okay, where it talks about how the world is going to be in terms of post-COVID work environment. Today, we are almost more than a year, so we don't need to tell how COVID has changed our life. All of us know about it. How COVID has changed is something I would say a redundant exercise. Today, all of us are kind of adapted to online learning, online medicine, online working, online treatment, online entertainment for quite a long time. So I think the challenges and opportunities are very well known. But I think what should be the scope of this next 1 hour is going to be how HRM is going to change, relearn, unlearn, and if things change back, how we again relearn and get back to a new reality. Now, this is where I think I would like to throw some light. Number one, always in these 3 decades of my career, I can say that HRM needs 3 strong interdisciplines to be learned. And I'm glad that over a period of time, I'm seeing with the varying levels of intensity, they have been a part of the curriculum. In early part of 80s, when I was a PG student and with a kind of mixed goals and dreams, one side we want to do clinical, one side we want to do industrial. But then what I was told is if you have to get into industry, and those days it was in terms of personnel management, right? So if it is, the major one is we need to understand law. You need to have a legal understanding of things, workplaces. So people who ruled the roost those days were people who were strong in labor laws. So you should be knowing about Industrial Dispute Act. You should be knowing very strongly. Even now it is important. I'm not saying don't just get me wrong, but I think those days it was a single major interdiscipline. If you look at someone doing a social work, their natural extension will be to go and study law. If you have to go and govern the workplaces. So the first 10 years I've seen people talking more in terms of legalities being very important. And I would say in terms of deciding role on this discipline, because HRM is actually blended discipline. It doesn't have a character on its own. It's not like physics or psychology or in commerce or in chemistry, right? It's been extremely blended discipline. In fact, management itself is blended, and all the more I can talk about HRM. Then the second part of it, where everything is becoming more towards management centric, post-90 globalization, I think learning about how to run businesses, PM and IR became HRM, and everyone was talking a part of the management. So from being a part of people welfare, I think we moved on to how to run this business with people, how to make a good ROI, what is the economics. I mean, we are talking about labor economics. We were talking about commerce being very important thing. How do you really make people decisions very important? What has been the cost of harmony or into lost opportunities? So more than legal front, we started to look more into management front. Simultaneously, and post 2000, I'm seeing a big trend where over a period of time, the second half of any HR management professional gets into psychology. People talk about psychology or into social psychology, largely understanding people in individuals and groups, how to make them engage in the work. Okay, even if you don't have a troublesome workplace, but how do you kind of maximize their effectiveness? Service economy has by then hit the place. So it's not that I need a very just a harmonious workplace, but I need a very productive and happy and engaging workplace. Gallup came into prominence, and today I know everyone talks about it. More than about 75% of the workforce is not engaged, either seriously not engaged or indifferent. So you have a very small kind of minority of people who really enjoy working. So then it becomes extremely important to understand what makes people to be happy in the workplace. So then they start understanding what we have failed to do well in our school, trying to study Maslow's, trying to look into motivational theories and see how do you build engagement, how do you build a culture. Then they say it's not individual, it is a culture. Because I had an opportunity 2 years back to visit United States for an ATD conference, and I spent one full day in Google. And I would strongly recommend people here, both students and faculty members, to read the book called Work Rules, which talks about how Google works and why it is called the best workplace by any parameters. When I read the book, I couldn't complete when I went to US. I read it and I thought, it's beyond imagination. And you have your own kind of suspicion. Can you do all these things in a workplace? And if you do all these things, will it be a workplace? When I went there and I saw, it was more than what I read. It was more than what I had kind of imagined. Your organization or your workplace takes care of your every other need other than work. You have a spa, you have a fuel filling station, you can do gardening, you can eat and drink whatever you can opt to work, opt not to work, you can switch your workstations. I think it was mind-boggling level of choices, to a level that I was wondering how are they going to handle this mess, because human beings are known to create newer needs once your earlier needs are fed, and we'll start comparing things. So Google was an eye-opener to me in a lot of fronts, and in a very simple statement I can make, they really understood Abraham Maslow very well. They understood it too well, and they really did a lot of implementation. The innovativeness is how to be having an intellectually stimulating, engaging work group, continuously engaged and looking forward to work and workplace. And that's the challenge, Google. And when I came back, and that was much before this COVID and all that, I was addressing about this in a lot of workplaces, trying to implement on this. But I think when this COVID came, I found that everyone is today talking about psychology. Everyone is talking about wellness. Everyone is talking about burnout. And interestingly, which was, the one which I was doing on my weekends, my internal counseling and internal wellness initiatives, because my bread and butter was in terms of training and organizational consulting work. But my base profession of clinical psychology, I was in a very, very silent manner continuing. But in the last 1 year, I can tell you, I get more clients than the last 20 years online. And that broke a lot of geographical boundaries. I have people from US, from Gulf, from UK, from Australia asking for support. So two things happen. And it's not just elite. It's not just affluent. It is not just the so-called educated and aware. People from all walks of life are asking for support. And support givers are very less in numbers. I'm not talking about just clinical psychologists. I'm talking about counselors, teachers, educators, and health workers. And COVID at one side, the active part of COVID management, treatment, prevention is going to take a lot of human efforts there. But the so-called, the non-pathological aspect of it, which I'm talking to you now on the workplace front, it's going to change things for sure. Few years back, we were talking about a gig economy, and we were saying, and I'm sure the very famous case of Uber. Uber had an labor unrest in a very interesting manner, because Uber, no one knows who is the boss. They don't have a human interface. they actually kind of report to an algorithm. So when Uber drivers in UK, they just wanted to settle a grievance, they could not find their peers or the employees under the brand Uber or go to the management and fight for it. So how they did it was a case which I leave it to you to read and understand. That's worth, because story half told is more interesting than the story completed. So I leave you the Uber story to go and read for yourself. But when we read all these things, we know that something is coming up here. Swiggy faced problems here. So we were thinking this one part of the world which is going to be service, IT, gig economy, but it's not going to affect the so-called manufacturing industry, old economy industry. We thought we are safe and we have still old methods, and we'll kind of modernize here and there, but the core remains same. But COVID changed everything in one blow. Today, our government schools, if you look at it, the teachers are teaching online. Doctors are trying to give as much treatment online. Trade, of course, the e-commerce has been there last 20 years, but it has gone 10x to 100x on certain platforms like healthcare and education. They have been unimaginable quantum leap. And payment apps like GPay, you just name it, that's the kind of growth they are talking about. Now, one side it is changing our economy. Now, how are you going to monitor? How are you going to really first manage our employees when you're not going to see them every day? And when I read this, in fact, I have made a bit of jotting of this just for the factor that I might be speaking. Very interestingly, they are talking about even if COVID is over and people have to come back, how many of us are going to come back, would like to come back to work? See, today people are complaining about working from home. In fact, people who read, especially in the Tamil, Sujata wrote about all these things 2 decades back. He was talking about work from home. And if I have to say it in Tamil, I guess all of you can understand Tamil, right? As much, at least. I say a lot of Karnataka stretches there. So let me not have it in Tamil, but இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்காக முடிப்பார். ஒன்றுன்னா சொல்லுவார், நீங்கள் ஆஃபீஸ்க்கு போக வேண்டாம், வீடு தேடி வேலை வரும், இங்கேருந்து நீங்கள் ரிப்போர்ட் பண்ணலாம், பாஸ் உங்களை கம்ப்யூட்டர் மூலமாக பார்த்துப்பாரு அப்படின்னு அழகாக வர்ணிச்சுட்டே கடைசி வார்த்தை முடிப்பார். ஆனால் ஒரே பிரச்சனை, நாள் பூரா நீங்கள் உங்களோட ஒய்ஃபோட இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு முடிப்பார். அதான் அவருடைய பஞ்ச். ஓகே, ஐ திங்க் which was a science fiction 20 years back, in our life has become a kind of reality. And today the relation, it is not the connectivity problem in terms of internet, connectivity problem at home, emotional requirements within the family are kind of posing. It's like, you are faced just against the people whom you are managing only for 1 hour and 2 hours. Today, I think the real problem is, how are you going to handle people at home? How are you going to handle people at workplace? Both are going to be extremely challenging. Employee surveillance software are there today, which are going to monitor, tell you what is the kind of consistency of work you are doing, how much. So there are a lot of parameters are there. So in one way, we are back to Frederick Taylor days of scientific management of time and motion, where an IT employee today is said that you are going to log in by 9 o'clock, you log out when the work is over, and you may have a lunch break in between. And as you don't have to travel, as you don't have other things, you are expected to finish little more because we are keeping you in a job and we are not making a major salary cut. So in a way, the burnout is going to be very intense. It's going to be really very intense. In fact, in the post-COVID complications, people are kind of predicting health conditions, but I am predicting a lot of mental health conditions. It's going to be very new and fresh. Today, we have electronic screen syndrome because Nimans has clearly said 1.5 years back, electronic screen syndrome is going to be a problem. Today, if you have 4 or 5 people at home, they are not talking to each other. They are talking with someone over phone, or everyone is glued to a screen. Only the size of the screen differs, whether you're on say Netflix or Instagram or on a WhatsApp or Facebook shows your age. Okay, your age will show whether you're Insta or Facebook or whether you're watching a TV program or a Netflix. I think everyone is glued to screen. Now, if you're going to glued so much to screen, what is going to happen to your eyes? What is going to happen to your brain? What is going to happen to your ergonomics? I mean, the way you're going to sit. What will happen to your ortho? So I think it will have a very serious addictive health hazards, which today we expect people to log in. In fact, I've never thought I will sit and speak looking at a screen for 45 minutes or 1 hour. I handle 3 days and 5 days workshop where we breezily walk and connect and have activities, move around. 36 hours or 48 hours across the globe I have done. We have never felt tired. But after 20-30 minutes, I have an urge to move. Today, I have to resist. I am not an IT worker sitting for 8 hours, but I have a problem to look at a screen where I do not know how many people are looking at me. I don't have an eyeball reaction. I don't know the attendance. Most of them mute. So you're actually talking to a Shakespearean soliloquy kind. Like a Hamlet, I move around. I can't even move around. I have to look at the screen and speak, assuming people are listening, assuming people are understanding, assuming people are liking, and assuming people would like you to continue. Now, I think I really empathize this element with teachers and trainers. This is going to be the real challenge. Now, if you have a problem to hold someone for such a short, now imagine if you have about 4,000, 5,000 employees and you have a HR team of 10 or 20 people, how are you going to do this kind of work surveillance? Operational side is fine. How are you going to see how is he? What is he developing? What is his interest? When I read this Forbes magazine, they say that people, at least in terms of Western world, they say with the travel and health benefits and all that, almost 70% of the people do not want to come back to work. Now, one of my niece, she was talking over phone. She says she has a kid of about 7 years and he has severe social anxiety to get back to school because the concept of school is only the laptop today. Now, 2 years, 3 years down the line, these people have to come back. The socialization is going to be a big problem, not to kids, to all of us. Today, in the name of comforts, we have built some new habits. Okay, at least we don't need to press our trousers as many times as we did in the past. Okay, only your upper part of the attire has to be intact, right? And you don't need to, you just need to have one square which has been set. And your work-life balance has been like never before so fluid, right? Extremely fluid. So what we were trying to fix in a pre-COVID, today we don't have time to fix them. We are just handling the way we know. And the burnout is really going to take up in a very, very, very big way. Now, having said that, the role of HR is going to be one. Your kind of surveillance on work is going to be technology based, but your engagement elements. In fact, I was talking to someone from Accenture and he was saying that they have coffee breaks during work. Can you guess how they make a coffee break? Coffee break through this. Everyone sits in a different place and on a stipulated time, all of them bring their coffee mugs and they talk with a coffee mugs. That's called coffee time. So they created something called a coffee time, right? So I think it's going to be extremely innovative to beat this fatigue. And already we have a huge fatigue today, and the psychologists are talking about compassion fatigue because we are very tired of empathy. So many death news, so many terrorizing piece of information. So what happens is we have become very numb and indifferent to it. Even the so-called empathy-based professions like us, it is taking a toll, and which is going to show up on your close relationships where it really matters a lot. So HR has to be tech savvy. HR has to be economics driven, because I think the real estate cost is going to be completely different post-COVID. I write for Hindu. I write for Tamil Hindu. For the ones who are not there, I would have been happy if that has been a part of my introduction. அது வரைக்கும் 10 புத்தகம் எழுதியிருக்கேன் எல்லாமே for Tamil Hindu. So Hindu is very close to me and I keep going there. Now Hindu office is very different because 10% of the staff come to office. 90% of them, your entire magazine is done on work from home. Can you believe it? Someone writes somewhere, someone is making an artwork somewhere, someone sees a proof somewhere, someone sits in the editorial and edits that, and someone goes back to the final. So everything is online. And what they're doing is they're going to have a hybrid workplace. That's what they say, that once in 15 days they will meet live to talk about issues which cannot be done on this online. Now, it will have a serious hit in terms of business development, sales and marketing, and people where I think meeting people is so critical. I'm sure if I'm just going to meet our Vice Chancellor across the table and with a coffee, we will have a kind of better chemistry. I'm sure if I had met Dr. Mangalesharan, we would have talked about 100 different things other than just the link and topic and all that. Because after 2-3 minutes, you don't know whether who is stealing whose time. So we become very cautious and said, okay, sir, I said anything else. But the small talk, which is very important, so important, is completely eradicated in our conversations today. Because of too many calls being made in a day, both video as well as audio calls, you just have a kind of purposeful conversations. Okay, now that's going to bring down the socialization as well as relationship element to the brim. And in this, the one like what I'm seeing with the youngsters with a lot of hope, they adapted it very well. They have their own ways of online meets. In fact, my daughter, who has just finished psychology, in fact, she's about to go for London School of Economics, couldn't make because of the COVID. So she has a gang, and every evening they gang up together and make hell a lot of noise in the room. And what I know is her friends have come online. If the noise hit the roof, which means about more than 10 girls are there inside. Okay, I think we are relearning, and I see my father is now become more comfortable with YouTube videos, so that he goes and tries to get connected. I think the learning has transformed and given a lot of opportunity. But the shift, the paradigm shift, which is going to be, it's not, I don't see that it is not either this or that. It is going to be this and that. My client Caterpillar today works like any other day. Manufacturing is on, production is on, people are coming. COVID, they take the precautions, they do the protection, vaccination, but life has not changed completely. So I have set of my clients who are doing the same things, who are able to do good part of it. There are certain clients, or especially like even I'm in the consulting industry, I'm thinking whether I should need an office itself. Where I used to boast a big office and people and workplace. Today I'm wondering, should I really need an office? Last 20 years, I've been having an office, but if everything is happening over online, why should I need an office? Why should I need a space, especially for thought leadership? Sorry. So I think it's not going to be only that. It's going to be hybrid. Some part of the company will have an old economy, old ways of method. Some will be adapting and kind of retaining to new ways. Some would be coming back from new to old again, if they are called to. For example, frontline sales workers sales, there's a lot of I could say a difficulty in them. So people are saying, we really want things to come back. This is not a new normalcy, it's an abnormalcy. You may call a different word, but we don't accept it to be a new normalcy. So when you handle people, your understanding is all your legalities, what I said 30 years back, hold true today. You need to have more of gig economy, more of contractual, more of freelancers, more of and guest workers, student workers, trainees, apprentices. So I think it's going to be a different kind of people you're going to engage on. You're going to have people on roll, you're going to people not on roll, you're going to take work from freelancers. How are you going to have your programs common to them? How are you going to keep all of them? And how are you going to have a consistent employer engagement, which is so critical for your customer engagement? I think if you have to have a kind of customer engagement, your employee engagement is critical. But when you don't have as many controls, as many leverage like in the past, you have to be extremely innovative in making them. So, in fact, I was doing some very interesting work. I have so much in terms of kaleidoscopic in terms of nature of work. At one end, I help to build a leadership pipeline. Another side, I try to set an organizational culture. Another side, I help a family business to become professional. Another side, we do some large scale blue collar recruitment with a strategy. So one such work when I was doing, we did the entire blue collar recruitment, first time in India, large numbers over online. This happened last year. Now, it is so difficult, both the sides, because people who have never even seen a laptop, you bring them and tell them 4 people are sitting there, they'll ask you questions and you need to answer to them. Look at the kind of anxiety it is going to produce. We just couldn't travel, and then they were looking at trying to get this scheme, NEEM scheme in place. But we did that. So what we did was we actually trained everyone few days over a WhatsApp call. I was personally involved and talking to underprivileged rural children, tell them how it is to talk over a screen and what are the causes of anxiety. So more than those kids, I think I have learned a lot during the process. And when things become better, I came to Gandhigram University for a similar purpose. And when I saw them, I know from where they are coming and what kind of backgrounds they are, and how do you expect them to be on par with a city kid to sit and answer something over online. So I would request our students, one side, I think you have to be very strong in law still, because legalities are so important. Labor laws are going to be differentiating so much in the days to come. You are going to get into a litigative economy, irrespective of the sophistication of the company. So you need to know your law very well, take it very seriously. Second, you need to understand the management, like I said, because you need to understand the things which you are not exposed to, and understanding a business. See, I have seen, if you ask me one thing, who are the ones who have made it very big in HR? I have my good friends like Mr. Venkatramana is there, ex-Lifestyle, CHRO, or in terms of Naresh Kumar Pinicity. I can say half a dozen of them who have gone up in terms of professional globally, internationally, with skyrocketing amount of CTC salaries, okay, they demanded. Now, if you ask me what made them to go there, okay, for the sake of students here, I share this. None of them are from the so-called elite B schools abroad or India and all that, okay? All of them are extremely grounded. But they have a very good old economy exposure with the law and employee relations, but they are the quick ones to adapt to technology, to new ways of management, to newer sectors, from a shift from manufacturing to IT to BPO to retail to e-com. I think that shift would happen. Now, if you are there, if you're kind of willing to look at that, anything new, and see what you can learn over there. In fact, I still remember, Big Bazaar people came to me to do a program in anthropology. Can you believe this? Anthropology, I have never studied as a full subject, but I had a lot of interest for sociology. And I was always a good student of sociology all through. So they asked, we need a program where we want to understand how our staff from the retail can understand the customers with their body language. How many will buy, who are delinquent, right? And you're talking about frontliners who are just paid the minimum wages. Okay. You want that sophistication. What I'm trying to say is we actually clearly can develop a model for retail. Okay. And I couldn't do that in that particular organization, interestingly, but I use that model for some other client of retail. Okay. So there I found the exceptional salespeople were very good in terms of people reading. Okay. Sociologically, anthropologically, they are not the ones who are academically very bright with a lot of letters, but they are the one who can handle a tough situation effectively, who can get into a crisis and convert that environment, right? Who can influence people. Now, these are all very anchored in your basic subjects. So while you do your management, please take up your sociology and psychology as very, very, very important disciplines. They are the future. That there needs to be a lot of, and come out of this. See, at some point of time when I was in Nimmans, when I was doing my MPhil, I used to think that psychology is one kingdom, clinical psychology is another small kingdom. Inside clinical psychology, we are people who are in neuro, and one will be taking a behavior therapy. We look like India and Pakistan. I cannot move there. This is my But finally, I moved some 5 to 6 rings out. And when I look back, I think the knowledge is something. So why I'm saying this is, today, psychiatric social work people would have a job in organizations. Take it from me. 30 years back when Dean was there in the Titan, he was the one first to introduce a social counselor as a position. Social counselors are picked from psychiatric social workers of Nimmans. Till then, we'll always PM and IR people only will get into industry. So today, it's like when I came from clinical psychology and took up mainstream HR, I was the first one in South India to do this, from psychology to HR. Today, I can show at least about 20 people who have crossed the lines, because all those strict watertight compartments don't exist in the real-time work life. Real-time work would expect skill sets, proven experience, if any, and most important, your willingness to learn. In fact, what I feel the biggest takeaway I had from my life is that consulting experience will keep you in a student mentality all the time. Because we know we need to keep learning every day. Okay. Today, one of this edutech company, they came back to me and said, we want you to help us in terms of test construction. Honestly, statistics was not my cup of tea. And all through my life, I read that from UG to PG to MPhil to PhD. Psychologist goes with so much of statistics more than statisticians. Okay. But I comfortably forget every time once the job is done. After my research is over, I'll completely forget it. And I will come back to my illiteracy mode, and anything to do with numbers, I'll say, you manage, you guys manage. But when he asked me questions, that day I had to go back to my Anastasi, psychological testing, and see what he talks about test construction. I think this rigor is very important. Today, people who are doing exceptionally well in employee relations are great learners. It's not just knowing the law in and out. Okay, the way they interpret, the way they learn, the way they apply, the way they are innovatively coming to solutions. Similarly, I think you need a lot of counselors, you need a lot of teachers, you need a lot of content to give. And the world is going to be more and more permeable to other professionals doing your job. That's a threat. What I'm saying is a threat. They're not going to ask whether you have a degree in social work. If you're doing a social work, they will take it, right? Or if we are going to do a counseling, of course, there are a lot of legalities involved, ethical aspects involved. I'm completely aware about there, but I'm giving you a world view. When I'm in distress, when you're going to come and help me, I'm not going to ask like, what's your background? If I'm happy with you, this is going to be the world. So how you are going to kind of protect your professional integrity, expand yourself, make yourself applicable to the real-time problems. Problem solving is going to be the key. So I would urge the HR managers of tomorrow, the ones who is going to kind of pass out, know your basics. There's no substitute to it. Because even whenever I go to engineering college, people talk about soft skills and all that. I will say all those things are fine, but are they good in engineering? I like the way our VC said, it is not degree of engineering, it is degree in engineering, right? I mean, it's not degree in engineering, it is degree of engineering. How much of engineering? So similarly, how much of the core skills they have? Do they really know I think it's extremely important, and student life, and when you have a lot of free time like this, focus yourself and see how you can learn to as much as you can. And self-learning is the key here. You're a facilitator, your teachers, professors, guest faculty from industry can give you a lot of perspectives. I'm sure last 30, 40 minutes, I'll stop in another 5 minutes. What we are trying to give you is based on our experiences, we share our perspectives. I'm not saying all of them are right or wrong, but these are all useful perspectives for you to consider. Now, when you do this, it becomes an experience where you can kind of expand your knowledge and skills and keep doing something newer. In fact, today I find, like I was talking about, the ones who went to the top are the ones continuous learners, lifelong learners, and the one who stagnated with a great start are the ones who somewhere believe this is the world and it's going to operate this way. I've seen some academically brilliant people, extraordinary people in their early life, stuck somewhere and kept on doing that for the rest 20 years. Today, industry is not going to ask you whether you have 25 years experience. They are going to look at 25 years of what experience? Is it you have a 1 year experience done for 25 times? Or you have a real 25 years of experience with varied things? So it's going to be a great amount of leveler. And I would say students as well as professionals, the biggest opportunity, this pandemic, the challenges are well known. Let me talk about opportunities are that you have more time found for yourself. You have cut down on few things. I know it is hitting you somewhere, but if you work on yourself, working on your strengths, support, empathize, you're going to grow both in terms professionally as well as personally. Now, these into context, what you talk about COVID might be very different. 10 years down the line, we may have something else. But you will draw these experiences, like our VC said, we really don't know whether it's going to go in one go or it's going to come back later in a different form or something else of similar nature. Like how economists have learned to handle all your into depression periods, we are also going to get adapted to these newer realities where the life is not going to be completely normal and there's going to be the boots of abnormality, and how professionally and personally we can serve people and serve ourselves in the process. I stop here and I think I would like to give easily about 15 minutes for people to ask brief questions. So if you can ask me a kind of pointed question, then I would see how best I can make value. Someone is going to moderate, or I'm going to take it just like that?
Oh, yes, sir. I think a moderator will be there, sir. Yeah. Shanshia, please go ahead. Yeah. Shanshia, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. One second.
Thank you. I see a lot of good comments there.
Yeah.
Thank
yes,
you
sir.
for all that. I think just one thing before the first question comes. people who would like to stay in touch with me, I am on LinkedIn. You can look for Dr. Cartigan Ranganathan. I'm there, and we can always stay connected and see if we can do something into professionally together. And also to the department, I'm sure we don't need to wait for things to get normal. We can start always working. In fact, interestingly, I used to come for BIM quite regularly to handle a paper on change management. That was 2004 to 2008. Then those days I thought, in terms of Trichy was more like a pocket, so I had to come all the way and all that. But then now I think we can handle things. We can use this breaking down of geographical boundaries to our advantage, and anything I can add value, please feel free. That's for the VC and for the HOD. Yeah, now I can take questions.
Thank you, Master. Please go ahead.
Dr. Neha Mittal asked a question like, how physical appearance is required to show our skills?
How physical?
Appearance is required to show our skills.
I'm not sure what he means. Maybe I think he would have made a reference on the body language part, what I mentioned. Physical appearance do not mean anything, because sometimes it can be kind of misleading, and what people make impressions with your looks. Okay, I don't think he would have meant that. But if it is in terms of body language gives a lot of clues about your attitudes, feelings, and the kind of mindsets, and which will prompt for a good conversation. So in that sense, interviews, we really take a lot of clue, and both in terms of professionally learned as well as intuitively, and we can use that data, the bodily data, but it would not give anything on the skill sets, and I'm sure the questioner will also agree with that.
Thank you, sir. And another thing, Shivakami Rajesh would have asked a question. What will be the impact on Generation Z, who will be hitting the workforce shortly? Working online also takes off etiquettes of work together. Your comments?
Beautiful. Good question. See, as always, younger generations are fast in adapting things. Okay. And I mean, what was the second question? I'm sorry, I'm just lost. Sanshia.
Okay,
she said two things, no? One is on
who will be hitting the workforce shortly?
Okay. See,
is it Z, X, or Y? That's what her question is.
No, sir. Sorry if I can interrupt. This is Sivagami from Bangalore.
Yeah.
The impact on Gen Z is what I want to know. And the other one is working online, sir, takes off the etiquette of working together. The students, I think you mentioned about the kids who are very hesitant to get back to school.
Yeah.
I feel not even the students, it's also the teachers or any working force for that matter. People are quite hesitant to get back. And when they work offline, that etiquette of how to address each other, how to be on time to classes, as I am a teacher, so I teach at Mount Carmel. So all that is actually taking a back seat. And the latest comment that you mentioned, youngsters are good at adapting to things. I do acknowledge, but I think that is also only short-lived, sir. They are happy with some 50% progression, and further development is not. So how can we kind of, take up all this as a challenge, and how do we work it out to be better? There are a lot of youngsters here, so it can help them as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can see a scope for an entire session in this question, and it was on I could empathize a lot here, but one thing I can tell you is that why I say that young people learn fast. Young people could learn fast because they could unlearn faster. So that unlearning part has to be recognized and rightly shaped. Social skills will suffer across all ages. Social skills will greatly suffer. Family rituals, family connectivity, community bonding, everything would come down. Earlier, you will think twice if you don't go for the wedding, what will happen? Who will come for your family wedding? Today, even if it's a major death in a close relative, you don't need to go. No one is going to ask. So, over a point of time, when you have to socialize again, you will kind of selectively draw the learnings here. So it is not going to be children. All the three generations are going to suffer because of this. And it is a job of the teachers, like you said, there are certain kind of virtues which are kind of contextual. And being a teacher, and I am very happy you said this, and I'm saying this not just for the support of students, only to relook on certain things. I'm also of the old school, strongly with you, madam, here. I stick on to my time, and I always keep talking about time.
True,
But
sir.
this generation has a different take on time, different understanding of time. I'm not saying it's right and wrong here, okay? In fact, I was doing a counseling, and this boy has dropped out from his father's office because the father was insisting on two things: to come on time and to wear formals. Both the things the son couldn't handle. So he said, what big difference it makes for him whether I wear a rounded t-shirt or a collar t-shirt. And if I'm going to do the same work for four hours in my time, I'm going to give it. Now, it is not the question of who is right here. These are going to get sharpened over a period of time because we have broken certain things in our generation, which these people are beneficiaries and victims for it. So what I would say is we have to look at it in terms of contextually. Today, after all that, see, if you look at a manufacturing industry, if you are there by 8 o'clock, 7:40 the bus comes, 7:45 is the workstation. Time is very important. When you join an IT company, they tell you log in whenever you want, you finish this work. So who sets the culture? Who sets the expectation? I think that is where I find understanding the contexts are very important. But social skills, I have no doubt with you, it's going to be suffering. Not just etiquette, even the working together in a large scale might be a phobic experience for all of us. I really don't know. See, I used to do like 100, 200,000, but today all my audience I'm seeing only in single screen. So I don't know whether I'll have an anxiety when I have to address a large crowd again. I'm just saying. So I'm with you, madam. I think a lot of challenges are true, what you said.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, and then a question from Shalini, HR trainee.
Yeah.
Though home is converted as a workplace in this pandemic period, how come the term work-life balance is seen?
See, the work-life balance itself is, to me, it's a kind of misnomer because life is a part of, work is a part of life. When you say work and life, is work a non-life entity? Okay, what they were initially trying to make is your office time and then your personal time. We have blurred it across the moment we got all these gadgets. Okay, I'm sure if I can take a poll here, how many of us get up in the morning and immediately take our phone and look for? I could see a smile from Sanshia. I could not see a smile from anyone else. But I agree, 80% of this population would do, if especially across age. Across age. Don't blame the youngsters here. I've seen my father doing it. I'm seeing my wife doing it. And with a lot of reluctance, even I do it. I will have a little guilt and then I'll say, oh, today only I will see, because night he said he will send me. I will only open that mail and close it. It is just like, having a plate full of fried cashew nuts and saying, I will take only one. Okay, same. So I think it is cutting across generations. It is actually cutting across generation. Whatever we are talking today is across generations. It's not just students alone.
Yes, sir. Another one question from YouTube from Dr. Abhinandan Nagaraj. In this pandemic, how HR is playing an important role?
No, HR has always a role of custodian. In fact, I have a lot of my friends and clients in active operational factory-based workplace by HR. Today, they are running for beds. They are running for cylinders. They are running for deaths. They are running for the emergencies. So right from there, the role starts. If something happens inside a workplace, the first question comes, what is HR and admin doing there? Okay. So it's that critical from there to whatever strategic intellectual part, what I'm talking here. The bandwidth is from operational side to the strategic side to the kind of futuristic side.
Yes, sir. Another a few quick questions.
Please. I see a lot of questions here. Yes.
Yeah, so many questions are popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Deepthi Sanchdev, sir, can we say that HR outsourcing would be more of consultative and facilitator than an in-house? Secondly, as you mentioned about blue collar recruitment
Okay.
online,
I read that.
what impact? Uh-huh.
See, one is HR always needs both insider and outsider's perspective and support. One cannot replace another. So I think the role of outsourcing will be strong, selective. What I was doing in the past and what I'm doing last 2 years are very, very different because the needs have changed. So I think the consultative, facilitative role will be there and more scope for consulting, if you ask me. But immediately, if you look at it today, there is a lot of dip in the work, in the quality of work, what you've done and all that. Blue collar recruitment and all can never be very effective online for the numbers and intensity, and then the in terms of readiness of the interviewer for so many reasons. What I gave you is a one-off case, and I was giving more challenges than the successes over there. So not everything can be done. If it is so, then we have to get used to and start in terms of setting up a practice. If you're going to take it as set practice, then we have to start getting ready over there.
Okay, sir.
How the education system bridges the gaps between rural and urban education. That's something very close to my heart and which I keep, or I would say I would like to do more in the future, making the rural urban into parity. Okay, still I think a very, very long way to go and very close to. I avoid answering this question because I cannot answer on time. But I think I can tell you a lot of work people like you and I have to do. Get onto the base. That's what I always feel. Don't look in terms of community development or HRM or into psychiatric social work. Each one is so entangled with each other. Understand the realities, they're all pinned together.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can we have one or two last questions? I'm sure there are more questions. I'm sorry, I would have picked up apart from compliments. Did I miss anything, or one of you feel that I have to answer that question without fail? Please, you can come on, show
So
your face
here
and
is
ask me that.
yeah, here's another question, sir. Most of the companies prefer MBA HR rather than MSW HR.
Good question. Good question. Who had asked that?
It's from Jaypriya, sir.
Very good. Which is not true. Which is not true if you ask me. I would only say that MSW has got a very strong native strengths, an in-depth sociological understanding which kind of penetrates from a different point of view. And MBA has a different outlook about the HR itself. Unfortunately, these kind of differences are getting blurred and everyone thinks this is HR, that is HR, both are similar and all that, which I don't subscribe to at all. I'm not saying this because I am addressing an MSW audience. In fact, I've said this more in B schools. I have said this at BIM. Actually, when I go there, I used to say, it is not that you read management and HR is one part of it. Okay. But what happens is, in terms of quality expectations of someone who comes for campus, sometimes the MBA HR students might appear to be more appropriate for the culture of the organization. For example, in terms of language or in terms of readiness to concepts or in terms of understanding the business. That's what I'm saying. MSW people, I say the same thing whenever I go and talk to psychology. Understand business first. You should know how they make money. Okay. What is the business model? In this, what is the role of people? So tilt it other way. Don't start from people side. Start from business side. Understand the business. Oil and gas, how do they make money? How do they make money in retail? How do they make money in a startup? How do they make money? Now, what is the role of people there? So what kind of complexities and dynamics this will bring in? So what kind of readiness? What will be the challenges? So I think this kind of preparation would help. I think that is somewhere MSW can work on.
Okay, sir.
I think 12:30 I would like to close to a 5 kilometer travel is due for me from here. But I enjoyed this session. I really wish I would have taken more into questions, maybe stopped about 10 minutes earlier. Is this pandemic HRD openings for employment? You can mail me if I not answer. That's why I have just texted my email ID over there. And my phone number is also there with Dr. Mangalesharan, where he can use his due diligence and share it. I'm open. And anything from in terms of professionals, academicians, consultants, even students, it's fine with me. If you think I can add value to any of your career or business, feel free to reach me. Text me, because many times I'm not that, even during pre-COVID days, I was not very attentive with my phone. So text me and I'll be happy to get back to you. Best wishes. 94th function. Call me for your 100th function. I will be pleased to come and join and do something for you. All the best to the university.
Certainly, sir.
All the
Certainly,
best
sir.
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you, sir. Yeah.
So, sir, should I take up the webinar to the next level?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So now I would like to call upon Lakshmi Sri to deliver a vote of thanks.
Sir, I believe I am audible. Yes. A warm
Yeah,
good
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. A warm good afternoon to everyone. Let me take this opportunity to thank everyone gathered here to this online workshop. To begin with, let me thank the Vice Chancellor of Bharatdasan University, Dr. M. Selvam, for his presidential address and for inaugurating this webinar. His words on significance of digitized era and the outcome centric human resources are well received by our participants. Thank you so much for connecting with us, sir. Let me thank our resource person of this session, Dr. R Cartigan, founder and managing director, Gemba Management and Consulting. So you have shared with us a lot of valuable information and both interesting and engaging things. If I can recall a few of his points, he said that in the post-COVID world, there are the organizations, some of them are going to be in old ways, new ways, or some will be in mixed ways. However, the HR role will be, they have to focus on more innovative employee engagement. They have to be tech savvy. They have to focus and they have to be well versed in problem solving, adaptability, and self-learning. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all this valuable information with us. And we believe all the participants have got ample information to take back home with them. Thank you, sir. At this juncture, let me also thank the MSW family from the Department of Social Work, right from our HOD and workshop director, Professor Dr. R Mangalesharan, Professor Ilango, Associate Professor Dr. J.O. Jiridani Jain Eljo, Assistant Professors Dr. Nirmala and Rajavel sir, guest faculties Dr. R. Selvamani, Dr. R. Kartikeyan and Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, and the research scholars of the department, and the both the first years and the second MSW trainees from the department. Thank you everyone for your coordination and for making this online workshop a successfully and implemented one. Thank you so much. Then, dear participants, you are the most valued in here. We hope you are enjoying this workshop and have gained ample information to take back home. Thank you everyone, to all the participants who are both here with us in Google Meet and through YouTube Live. Once again, let me thank everyone for this, for your participation and for joining with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So that was an excellent speech, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll keep in touch, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just to make an announcement, Shanshia, that next session will be at 4
Yeah.
o'clock.
Dear participant, the next session will be at 4 o'clock, sharp 4 o'clock. You will be receiving an email from us, confirmation email. Please join into that link.